Let's discuss it with New York Congressman and Hillary Clinton supporter, Representative Hakeem Jeffries. Congressman, thanks so much for being here.
Good morning.
Was that a satisfying answer that Senator Sanders gave?
Well, not at all. You know, I'm not sure why Senator Sanders has chosen to go down this path. Clearly, Hillary Clinton is one of the most qualified Americans ever to seek the presidency as First Lady, as former Secretary of State, as United States Senator.
He says that he was returning in-kind fire, basically that he thought she had said he wasn't qualified, so he's just giving it back to her.
Well, she's never made that assertion, and so I'm not sure why Senator Sanders has chosen to go down that path. I mean, at the end of the day, the debate should be about issues, and hopefully we'll see Senator Sanders' campaign return to dealing with the issues that New Yorkers care about. In particular, the communities that I represent are concerned about Senator Sanders' record on gun control, where he's consistently been on the wrong side of the issue, voting with the NRA and against the interests of the people.
Is Senator Sanders qualified to be president?
Well, I think that he has qualifications that many people have been attracted to. Ultimately, people of the Democratic Party are going to have to make that determination. But certainly, as Hillary Clinton has said, if the choice is between Senator Sanders and either Donald Trump or Ted Cruz, it's not even a close choice.
How do you explain the change in tone that we've seen this week?
Well, I think Senator Sanders is down, notwithstanding the momentum that he claims to have. Hillary Clinton has gotten more than 9 million votes throughout this democratic process, more than 2.5 million votes than Senator Sanders has received. We're up by over 200 pledged delegates. And I think there's some desperation, actually, in terms of the need for Senator Sanders to do well in New York, as well as the states that will follow in Pennsylvania and Maryland and Connecticut, where he's not on friendly demographic territory.
You talk about gun policy, and that has become a point of contrast in the race. In fact, Hillary Clinton has suggested that Bernie Sanders might bear some responsibility for the pain of the Sandy Hook families because of his votes in terms of gun manufacturing. He countered and said, well, then maybe Senator Clinton bears some responsibility for the pain of fallen U.S. soldiers' families because of her vote on the Iraq War. And then Senator Sanders' campaign manager, Jeff Weaver, said something we hadn't heard at all before in this election about Hillary Clinton bearing some responsibility for the rise of ISIS. Let me play that for you.
She supported the war in Iraq. She continues to have a very, very hawkish foreign policy, which has led to the rise and expansion of ISIS throughout the Middle East. Her campaign is funded by millions and millions of dollars from Wall Street and other special interests. You know, she's really made a deal with the devil, and we all know the devil wants his money in the end.
What do you think of those comments?
Well, those were very unfortunate comments. I mean, we can take it step by step. First, as it relates to Senator Sanders' record on guns, we know he voted 5 times against background checks. He voted twice to shield gun manufacturers from liability. He voted once to allow guns on Amtrak. That's unfortunate in a country where we've got 5% of the world's population, 50% of the world's guns. More than 10,000 Americans die each and every year as a result of gun violence. So clearly, that's fair game. As it relates to former Senator Clinton's position on ISIS, I mean, she's been strongly supportive of President Obama's policies, which have made progress. Clearly, we have to do more.
But is it the U.S. foreign policy that is to blame for the rise of ISIS? I mean, that almost seemed to be what he was suggesting.
It's a very difficult connection for anybody to make. Clearly, there were mistakes that were made by the Bush administration in Iraq that led to the formation of al-Qaeda in Iraq, and al-Qaeda in Iraq then was a precursor to ISIS. But to blame Senator Clinton at the time, who was in the Senate, for what has ultimately happened in the Middle East, where there's been centuries of problems that no one has been able to resolve, is a stretch.
Something else happened on the campaign trail yesterday, and that was Bill Clinton was disrupted by Black Lives Matter protesters. They were shouting and taking issue with, I believe, Hillary Clinton's previous use of the term super predator. Let me just play this moment for you in his response.
I don't know how you would characterize the gang leaders who got 13-year-old kids hopped up on crack and sent them out onto the street to murder other African-American children. Maybe you thought they were good citizens. She didn't. She didn't. You are defending the people who kill the lives you say matter. Tell the truth.
Do the Black Lives Matter protesters have reason to still be angry?
Well, certainly the Black Lives Matter movement has raised some very important issues, particularly as it relates to unarmed African-American men being disproportionately killed and victimized by police violence across the country, and often those officers are not held accountable. Those are issues that we're going to have to confront in America, and Black Lives Matter has raised that to a level of debate that's very important for our discourse. I understand why President Clinton would feel the need to defend the 1994 crime bill that he signed into law. There were some good things that were in that bill. And I would also note, I wasn't in Congress at the time, but a majority of members of the Congressional Black Caucus saw fit at the time to actually support that legislation. Now, in retrospect, hindsight is 2020. It has led to an exacerbation of the mass incarceration phenomenon that we've got in America, and we've got to do a lot to correct that, to reform our broken criminal justice system. But, you know, there are no winners on either side of this debate. Bernie Sanders was actually in the House of Representatives at the time and voted for the 1994 crime bill. And the other thing that we know is Vermont has one of the highest rates of African-American incarceration in the country. And over the last 34 years of public service, Bernie Sanders has managed to do nothing about that particular issue. So more needs to be done. Senator Sanders clearly has got some issues in that area. I understand why President Clinton felt the need to defend what he signed in 1994.
Congressman Jeffries, thanks so much for coming into New Day.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you.